Hello everyone and welcome to the today's session. I am Dr. Mahesh from Veterinary Education. Today our topic is Canine Behaviour Psychology and its implication in clinical practice. So today's program, our main sponsor is Farmchemy Private Limited. They helped us a lot for the development of veterinary profession in Sri Lanka. And also I must say Dr. Jagat Vijayasri and Dr. Kalpana gave their valuable contribution for this event. So it's time to introduce our speaker, Dr. Sudheesh S Nair, sir. He is working as an assistant professor in veterinary surgery and radiology in the Department of Veterinary Surgery and Radiology, College of Veterinary and Animal Science, Mannuthy. He is actively involved in veterinary surgical oncology, soft tissue surgery, and animal behavior. He received many gold medals from the Indian Society of Veterinary Surgery. Not only that, he's an army officer. Beside his academics, he is a motivational speaker and trainer. So I am not going to talk much about his teaching skills. After this session, you all will realize his abilities. Before inviting sir, there are few announcements for the speakers. Sorry, for the participant. Always keep your mic muted. And if sir asks something, you can unmute and answer. If you have any question, you can type that in the chat box. So after the session, you will have a time to ask your question directly from sir. So Sudheesh sir, please continue.
Considering me for this particular webinar. And when Dr. Mahesh, I met Dr. Mahesh during his training, during that program, gynecology, that program in our college. Then after that, he gave this reference and requested me for a session for this thing. I was more than happy because this is one thing which I am, for the past 1 decade, I am actively into this subject. For one of the major reasons that this is one subject which had not received any importance during our undergraduate training. I'm sure it will be the same with Sri Lankan veterinary syllabus also. What happens is that we are actually earning our bread, and from morning to evening we are working with dogs. But unfortunately, we are very good in diagnosing cases. We are very good in getting treating the animals and all other things. But somewhere in the run, we are missing to recognize, or we are missing to understand the beautiful creatures that we are dealing with, because we are hardly taught about the behavior psychology of this particular species. Now, I was also like this, having graduated from this College of Veterinary Animal Sciences, Mannuthy, India, 2001. I got an opportunity to work with army animals when I was in working for Indian Army. And later I got a wonderful opportunity to work for an animal rights organization, that is People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. And since I think up to that time, I was almost clear that this subject was, I was not having much clue on this subject, or rather I was just working with my animals in my own way. But ever since this subject was introduced to me through a formal training session when I was working as a program manager, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals is the largest animal rights organization which work for this welfare of animals, specifically for the rights of animals. So they have active sessions, and all those who are working are actually glued up with this behavior. So I got a formal training from the US veterinarians on this particular subject. And not only that thing, we had to work at policy level, working with veterinary colleges and advocacy level also, to spread the concepts of humane handling, and more specifically with the behavioral restraint of animals. So it is that time only, this canine behavior subject, I was closely associated with this subject. It was precisely in the year 2012-11 that this subject was introduced to me. Since then, I found it a very interesting subject and developed in my own way. And later, I got a wonderful network of behavioral psychologists all around the world, where we share the platform of discussing about what exactly happening in different countries. To my surprise, it is one of the most interesting part is that a large country like India, where we have very huge population of dogs, they consider this as one of the best place where this subject can be evolved further. So since then, we know we all work in a lab. The lab, which I mean, is the clinics only. So being a surgeon, I'm morning to evening, I'm dealing with animals. And this is the place where I'm directly seeing the animals. And we started this, applying this particular subject on the clinical practice. I started getting some rewarding results as a clinician, because the animals communicate to us in every minute, every moment. So it's like that, like we are speaking to someone and they are listening, like that the animal is actually communicating to us in different forms of body language, and their interactions with us is very precise. But only problem is that the problem is at the receptor end or the receiving end, where we are not able to understand what the animal is speaking because we don't have much knowledge in this subject. Now, I'm trying to share some of the concepts in behavior psychology with the help of case studies, videos, and in properly in the clinical perspective, because the ultimate aim or goal of this session is to have an active interest in the canine behavior, so that we will be able to understand our patients in a better way, and we will be able to give adequate, or we will be able to provide justice to the suffering animals which are presented in front of us. So with this, let me enter into this session. Few rules during our presentation is that please stop me whenever you feel like. You can just raise your hands, or you can tell Dr. Mahesh, our moderator, he'll be able to help you out. And I'll be asking some questions on the way. So I would request you to kindly contribute, because since it is a webinar sessions, generally I'm not able to see you. I can only see the screen, and of course, I only names I can see, 1 or 2 names I can see. So I sincerely request you to respond, otherwise it will be just I'm just talking to my screen. So I hope you can understand my plight also. So shall we start the session? I just need a yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Thank you. So the first question I would like to ask you is that when you just compare with a human being and animal, can you identify one single thing which is we are having where the animals are not having? What exactly are the things that you think that we are superior compared to animals? We just need to make it clear before we proceed. Like, can anybody have a volunteer answer? Like, what does it mean? What is the exact thing that makes us superior to animals? The so-called superiority that we are thinking. Can anybody tell? Is there any single organ which is there in the dog and which is not seen in case of human beings? Any guess, any wild guess? Or is there anything that we are lacking? Anyone just give me a response. I hope my question is clear. I'm just asking, when you compare with an animal and a human being, what is that thing which is within us, which is not there in a dog? Or what is there having in the dog which we don't have? Any volunteer?
Smiling.
Hello, yeah.
Ability to think.
Yeah, I think Dr. Saira, you have a point. But what specifically, if I tell you, dogs do have human-like emotions. They do have all the organs. If you see liver, heart, lung, kidney, everything. And if you think that dogs have tail, you don't have, I'm sorry, we do have a coccygeal vertebrae, which is just underdeveloped. And when it comes to the brain, we have the dogs of all the major areas of the brain, which include amygdala, hypothalamus, and the limbic region, which is basically highly emotional centers, which are processed in all species and also in case of dogs. And dogs appear to understand majority of the behavior like fairness, jealousy, emotional contagion, and pro-social behaviors very specifically like human beings also. I'm sure when we see one of 2 slides ahead, we'll be able to clearly appreciate the thing. The only difference, as Dr. Saira pointed out, the only difference that we can just tell is the surface of your prefrontal cortex and the cortex per se, which is actually very big in human beings, which make us, or that is why we are in front of the screen and learning this behavior, where a dog cannot do that. Of course, our cortex is in superiority. On the other way, we are highly inferior to this dog because they have almost 300 million olfactory receptors when compared to the mere 6 million receptors in case of in our case. That means we are dealing with a species which has got a very high level of olfactory reception, and their primary communication between interspecies and also within the species is olfactory level. So that means that the dogs are in some way superior to human being. Now, this was very evident when we were in army, when there is like a training of this thing, when we see sniffer dog trainings. There are different trainings, like dogs are used for training detecting gunpowders, and also dogs are even used for training detecting this drugs and all these adulterants and other things. So what exactly we do is that we are just following certain things. Like heroin is there. We want to make the animal detect this thing. So we take the heroin. For a human being, the heroin is nothing but the color powder only that we are seeing. You have got gunpowder, which is having a brown color. That's only our indication. We don't know the disintegration. Even if we mix up the chemicals and make the dog to work on particular condition, it's really astonishing to see that how the dogs specifically work on a particular receptors where human brain won't be able to explain that thing. That means their olfaction capacity is way beyond our imagination. So these are the differences between the species. And when you come to this subject, the first thing that we have to understand is that when we are in a process of studying this behavior, there are few topics or few qualities that is most important for you to study this subject. And that includes, number one, a very good observation skills. Because when we are in a practice scenario, when we are going to vaccinate a dog, the first thing that we are doing is to just get your vaccine taken and the dog is restrained and immediately prick and go out of the scene. That is what an average veterinarian, anybody will try to do. But the problem here is that we are actually overruling the psychological state of the animal or the behavioral status of the animal. So this is something that we have to work on by just observing or by just spending time with the dog. So all we need is just 5 minutes of dedicated observation on how the animal is standing and the different behavioral body languages of the animal, and then proceed with the particular subject. So that is what good observation skill is needed, and patience. Of course, you need to spend around 5 minutes to get a basic idea of the subject. So you need to be patient with this particular species. Next thing you have to, the biggest quality that we need is perceive rather than judge. Now, this is something a very significant topic which needs to be explained, because when you study the animal behavior subject, one of the biggest problem is that we carry the burden of our own existing knowledge. A lot of unlearning is needed to understand the subject in depth. The reason is that generally, by and large, the human beings have the ability just to walk away with two bags, one good bag and a bad bag. We always keep labeling things as a good incidents and a bad incidents, or this is good and this is bad. So what happens is that this quality will interfere in our ability to recognize what is there in front of us, because we lack or we consciously forego the quality of to appreciating what is in front of us. So what we need is the ability to perceive things rather than judge. And finally, when you get a chance to identify the ear, nose, or how the animal is keeping its tail and all other things, we have to collectively interpret. Because when we start studying about how the eyes are there, how it is keeping its tail, and how the animal is body moving, don't jump into conclusion thinking that the eyes are showing like this, so it will be like this. No, it will be like you have to collectively interpret the thing and get into a conclusion. And finally, don't just jump, and we have to just assess that what we are doing is in the right thing. We are collectively interpreting the thing. So these are the rules, certain things. So in short, if we clearly tell, the more you develop on this subject, the more we are developing in our own behavior and our own understanding of ourselves. So this is what I found out, is that when you start observing a dog closely, you are actually observing another species, and lot of presence of mind is needed, and you'll be more tuned to the situation and you'll be able to understand the thing. The dog is clearly telling you what is going through in its own language. Only thing is that we have to tune into that frequency and receive the signal. So this is the most important advantage, and this is the limitations of the subject that we have to overcome to come to this knowledge. Now we start with the subject. Now, human communication, human body language is basically okay. Anybody can give me that percentage of communication happening through body language and percentage through vocal. What percentage is through body language in human communication? Any guess? See, I'm talking to you. We are not seeing directly, but still, I argue that I am not communicating to you just by voice. There are so many things that is happening between the communication between us. So what percentage is vocal and what percentage is body language in human communication? Any volunteer to give an answer? Hope my question is clear. In human communication, what percentage is body language and what percentage is vocal?
60% of body language.
Excellent, Dr. Anusha. I think it's up to their clearly specific. They say 67-33% is as per the studies reveal, but we can make it as 60 to 65%. That 60 to 65% is body language and only 30% is your vocal thing. Now, I'll tell you'll be able to understand it better when you just reflect with your own life. You can communicate a beautiful to your other counterparts by just a look or by body, but by action. Also, by just a look or action is more than sufficient to convey a message. And if you say you are speaking and you are communicating, no. Every word I am speaking is having phonetics being followed, that some syllables are given stress, and I'm using a pause, and I am using my hands to express the thing. My face is communicating to you. Every part of my body is one or other way communicating. That all will come under the body language. That means that an effective communication include using your body language very beautifully. That is 67%, only 35% or less than 33% will be the voice part of the communication. This is in case of human communication. When you compare it with the canine body language, the dogs use almost all part of the body for communication. So that is the beauty. Now it communicates with its eye, ear, mouth, tail, hair, and overall body posture, and the way it is sweating and vocal. Let us see it one by one. Then we will study the general behavior of the dog. Now I'm going to explain to you that is the dog as an individual subject, like what an individual dog is communicating to you. This is that we are going by means of canine body language. Which I would like to discuss is regarding the eyes. Now, canine eyes communicate directly in a very direct communication. You can see in case of eyes. That means when you just look at the eye of a dog, you can clearly understand its psychological state. And of course, as clinicians, we generally check first the mucous membrane and see all these things. But what exactly is requested at this point is, when you observe a dog, just wait for 2 minutes and observe at how it's placing its eye and what is actually the clues that they're giving. Now we'll move and see the first rule in interpreting eye. A relaxed dog will never show the sclera of eye. Now, of course, I have glasses with me. If you look at my eyes clearly, you can see white and black. The white is sclera, and the black is the color of the cornea. Sorry, the color of the iris, which is reflecting to the clear cornea. That means a human eye, if you see, you've got a white and a black. But the importance of this particular thing is, a relaxed dog will never show the white sclera. That is the first thing. The moment the dog is excited, it will start showing the white sclera. So that is the first sign of distress in the dog, or the first sign of stress or frightening or the threatening condition in a dog is called semi-lunar eye. Now the picture says you can see the white half moon circle of the sclera, which is definitely an indication that the animal is disturbed. Okay, so this is regarding the eye. Now, next thing that you can see is that pursed eyebrow or the squinting, that how I am doing, just you can see the pursing of the eyebrows is seen very clearly in case of dogs which are apprehensive. Generally, this is associated with the white sclera, which can be seen in case of a dog in distress. I hope you can appreciate it with this picture. Next thing that you can see in case of behavior is called half moon eye. There is a difference between veil eye and an half moon eye. Half moon eye is seen generally in the medial and lateral canthus when you see a white color of the eye. That clearly explains that the animal is having psychological, so physiological disturbance also. That means the dog is having some disease condition. An example for this thing is that when the animal put its head down and show, right, in the right case, you can see half moon eye. This is the clear indication that the dog is having some physiological disturbances. Now, just by looking at the dog, you can tell that thing. Either the dog will be having some pain condition, or it will be having some fever or any distress condition. Generally, you can see the white of the eye displaced in the lateral and medial canthus, and the animal's head will be down. I hope this point is clearly conveyed. Let's come to the mouth. This is mainly the prehensive organ. The mouth means that it generally uses the mouth in a very different way. The dogs have a lot of experience, a lot of expressions from the mouth that they show generally. So for our behavioral perspective, what we first think that we do is that an open mouth. An open mouth is the happy mouth specifically. When you see a dog panting and the dog's mouth is open, it's a clear-cut indication that the dog is in the relaxed state. So it should be the aim of the veterinarian to identify this relaxed behavior before you start proceeding any intervention in an animal which is not restrained by a physical or chemical method. Now, the thing is, the dog is generally showing its mouth open in this picture. Now, this particular dog is having open mouth. The moment you are entering into the scenario, the first thing the dog does is closing the mouth. Now, that means the dog will be first closing its mouth and observing who is coming near me. And this is definitely a sign of distress in a dog, followed by extensive olfactory perception it will be doing. Now, next important sign of distress in an animal is called nose licking. If you see the animal excessively licking its nose, there is the clear indication that the animal is excited. This can be seen with almost all the cases of the dogs which are presented in our clinics for examination. You can see the dogs using extensively licking their nostrils. So it's a very common sign that you can see in case of distress. I'll show a video at the end which all these signs will be clearly displayed in an animal. Next is lip licking. So nose licking and lip licking go side by side, in which the animal will frequently try to relieve its stress, or by doing a self-appeasement gesture, or will be just animal will be trying to make themselves calm by doing these procedures repeatedly. So this is again an important findings in case of behavior. When the animal is getting excited, there will be nose licking and lip licking. Next important thing with this, that when the open mouth is then goes to the next level of which is called as pursed lip. By pursed lip, what they show is that the animal will surely show its lift its upper lip and show the distress and try to show the canines. So this is always associated with dilated pupil also. In the right picture you can see. So that means the dog is going to the next level of disturbances, means the dog is getting excited step by step. Now, up to this point, if you see, one more point I have to tell is yawning. Yawning is the sign of distress in a dog, and it has got more to do with what is the animal is highly disturbed condition, it will get yawned, rather than in case of this, when we yawn generally when we are tired, whereas in dogs, it is a sign of distress showing behavior. Now, another important thing you can see when you are examining an animal on the table, you can see it will be profuse salivation will be there from its mouth, which is also a sign of distress in case of dogs. So till this stage, we were expressing about the body languages of eye, mouth, and the last stage of teeth or the mouth changes that you can see is called display of front teeth. Display of front teeth with vocalization is the next stage in which the dog is clearly telling that I will now take the next step and you may get attacked. Now, if you closely observe this picture and this picture, there are two important things that you can see when you closely observe the eye. Just observe the eye in this picture and this picture. The main thing that you can see here is that up to this stage, the animal will be trying to look into your eyes. And from this point onwards, the dog will turn away its head and show the teeth, and it will be going to the next level, which is still much more aggressive level. Now, what we have to do at this stage is avoid eye contact. When you give direct eye contact to the dog in animal kingdom, it's only in human beings that you have to speak while looking at the eyes. Whereas in animal kingdom, the very important golden rule by dealing with animals is that never give a direct eye contact, rather just give a wink with using the eye and turn away so that the dogs will feel definitely comfortable. Now, after a few slides, we'll be discussing about the stress ladder in which the animal is getting excited and going to the next level of, and it will bite. So the steps in biting. The first thing that you can see is a relaxed dog which is panting, stop panting in your presence. Then it start looking the way-like expression it is showing. Then it's showing pursed lips and all other signs, nose licking, lip licking, and finally pursed eyebrows and showing the upper lip. And till that time, it will be looking at you with doubt. Generally, after this stage, the animal will stop looking at you and it will be using something called as head turning away, which is a very important sign. When the dog turns its head away, which is the indication that it's high time for you to stop your interventions and make the animal comfortable. Otherwise, you will 100% get a dog bite. Now, we'll be making it clear in the subsequent slides, but let me just complete the body parts, then we'll be able to move ahead. Next is ear. The position of the ear is so unique that three expressions can be clearly identified. The first one is a focused ear. Of course, the breed-specific traits will be there in case of an erect ear and ear slanting. There will be different type of breed specifications. But generally, a focused ear is the condition in which the dog is fully attached. Attention, the ears will be in the erect shape. Along with that, there is one more thing that you can see, that the eyes will be fixed, mouth will be closed, and fixed rigid gait will be there in case of focus. So this you can see. So especially when you go inside a house and we want to do a vaccination for a dog, the first thing you can see is that the dog will be staring at you with the focused ears and staring at you with closed mouth, you can see. So this is the classic conditions. The ear will clearly tell about the alertness. Now, sideways turned ear is something like a happy and excited dog. This dog is ready to play, and that expression can be seen in the sideways ear. Whereas the ear towards backwards and upwards ear is a clear indication that the animal is getting excited and the animal may go for another complication. So this is something that we have to be careful with the ear. So three physiological states can be clearly identified when you look at a dog. So now we come to the tail. Now, I would like to just give you a recollection. I think afterwards, after this session, after this slide, we will go for that. Now, I'm going to tell about the most important organ of expression in a dog. So there is always a practice among the breeders, and of course, the breed standards, they say docking. But I'll tell you that docking a dog is the last thing that you can do for the dog when it comes to communication, because it permanently cripples the dog's way of expressing its behavior, and it's leave the dog unable to show its stage of what is it, psychological stage. Now, why this happens is that because the tail is an organ that shows all these things. It's an organ that to show the preparedness and agitation, negotiation, aggression, submission, curiosity, happiness, and wagging speed is also, there are 4 types of wagging speed, and it shows about the excitement, insecurity, and friendliness. In short, the tail is something which the animal is trying to communicate in a wide variety of this thing. So when we do a docking, we are actually prohibiting the dog to express its behavior in a group. So scientifically, we generally don't recommend in the animal welfare perspective to do a docking in case of a dog. I have some slides. Before that, we'll just see the common tail position. Tail is regarded like the first indication of dominance in a dog is a raised tail. So when you see a dog, the tail in line with the body line, which is that means the dog is relaxed and dog is not excited and the dog is comfortably in the normal position. In this dog, you can see the signs of open mouth, looking at there is no sclera visible, the tail is in the down way and the animal is in exactly down. Now see this picture. So you can see the tail is fully erect. That means it's an alert dog. Can you closely observe the mouth? The mouth of the dog is closed and the eyes are fixed. Body is rigid. The dog is aiming for a hunt. So this is a very clear thing. Now the ear or the tails, when it is in the erect position, which indicates that the dog is in the dominant position. Now this can be seen in a very different way among dog-dog interaction and dog-human interaction. We'll see that. Whenever you see a dog canine communication with the dog is in the level of the body language, which is regarded as a body line, which is regarded as a happy and a comfortable tail. But when it tucked inside between the legs, that means the animal is highly excited. Now, this is the kind of the body language in dogs that we get when it is brought to the clinics. When it is brought to the hospital for examination, you can see the tail will be down and the animal will be just doing this thing. Another example I'll tell you, you have two scenarios. You are going for a house practice. You are going to the house of an owner and getting the dog vaccinated. For example, some vaccination you are doing. At that time, you are entering to its territory. The body language of the dog will be mostly like this, the first one. The dog won't allow you to go inside, and if they come inside, it will show the next level of aggression ladder will start and the animal will try to attack you. There are ways to make the animal come down the aggressive ladder that we'll see later. Now, this is the common sign, but the same dog, you are telling the owner to bring it to the hospital, the condition of the animal will be like this, because here its territorial dominance is not there. The dog will definitely go for a submissive way and the animal's tail can be seen tucked inside the thing. So the clear physiological state of the animal is expressed in the tail in case of dogs. Now, there are different types of tail movements. I'm sure almost a majority of the vets here will be having a dog at home. So when you return from work, the first thing that you are seeing is that the dog will be wagging its tail. Not only the tail, the whole body will be wagging. So that is the real happy wagging of a tail in case of a dog. It will be tail moving, will be very fast and very agile. The entire hip will be moving. Now, another scenario I'll tell you, when go inside your house after some time, you saw the dog with the head down and slow movement of the tail, just to be sure that the dog is trying to communicate that I am having some distress and some disease condition. So that slow moving tail is less enthusiastic move, which shows that the animal is in distress. Another thing, if you have observed, is that if your dog is hunting something, or if it's just searching for some cockroach or lizard or some insect which is moving around, if you closely observe, the tail will be full upright and will be moving. The short strokes can be seen. So this is also a classic example of curious tail movement. Another thing, like researchers have found out that the dog, when they move its tail towards left side, the dog will be showing an unpleasant behavior, whereas the right side it will be showing will be a excited behavior. We have found this thing in the post-operative recovery rooms in case of dogs. Once after surgery, when you take the animals to outside, you can see the movement of tails will be more towards the left side. That is unpleasant, and will be trying to complaining the owner that I've got, see, look what happened to me, like that. So this can be seen in the tail movement. So all we need is a presence of mind and availability on that moment and focusing on the animal in front of us. So many clues are given to us in different forms. Now, I'll take 2 more slides and we'll finish this particular session. Then we'll move to the next portion. Next important sign of aggression in case of dogs is called a raised hackle. Raised hackle is this condition in which the animal will show a fluffy hair coat. This is an indication to show that the animal is trying to exaggerate its size. The increase in the body proportion side, which is shown, conscious increase in displaying the body surface, is an indication of self-appeasement gesture, which is seen in many types of animals. A classic example is peacock. When 2 male peacocks comes, the one with the flare one will be allowed to mate. So another example is you can see in case of porcupines. So they will just, when excited, it will do this thing. Another classic example is your own cat. So you can see the cat, a slim cat will be there moving around. The moment the sound has happened, the entire hairs will raise up and it can be seen this thing. So this type of communication is seen not only in animals, but in case of human beings also. So you see the body language of a person who is in command, or a person who is going to a particular place where he is dictating, or he is managing 2-3 subordinates. So generally you can see he'll be walking like this. Chest raise will be showing. So its dominance will be shown in that way. Same way you see the body language of a thief in a police station, he'll be crouching down and reduction in the surface area. So this is all says that we are all animals. So reduction in surface area and exaggeration or developing in surface area can be seen as a body language crisis. And in crisis, in adrenaline surge, this is a very clear thing that you can see in dogs, in which it will be showing raised hackles, which is a sign of distress in dog. Move further and just go to the body postures. The dog generally communicate about its body posture in different ways. For example, a fearful dog will be just shivering and going to downwards, whereas an undecided dog which don't know, for example, you are feeding some treat to a dog, street dog, it will be showing the B. You can say undecided thing you can be seen. Dog will be apprehensive what you are coming, what you are up to, and be looking, and your movement and all you can see in undecided posture. Whereas the relaxed dog will be open mouth and it will be tails will be down. Whereas an alert dog will be fully, the tails will be up and it will be fixed gaze. Whereas a defensive dog will take a rock stance in which it will be fully firm, ready to attack. So these are the body postures that we can see in common things. So before I proceed further, I would like to just give a small conclusion of what I have told so far. The body language of an individual dog or a dog as a personality, you can identify by means of eyes, ear, tails, and even the whole body part is used for communicating for communication. The first thing with eye is that a relaxed dog won't show any sclera, whereas an excited dog will show its sclera, which could be sometimes through the semilunar sclera or sometimes through the medial and lateral canthus. There will be eyes will be displayed, which is a sign of half moon eye, which is a sign of distress to the animal. Whereas coming to the open mouth, closed open mouth is a sign of relaxation in a dog. The moment the mouth closes, the animal is taking to the next step. And further, and the frowning and nose licking and lip licking, these are the two signs of self-appeasement gestures the dog adopt before it gets to the next level, in which it's showing frowning of and pursing of upper lip, showing its teeth, now fixed body. Now the animal is showing away, head turned away and showing its canine and vocalization. Then the dog will go for the next stage of attack. Now I'll show you some examples. Now this is a relaxed dog. Mouth is open, head is held high, and you can see ears are relaxed and tail is relaxed. This is a dog which is adopting a playful stance. You can see the pupils, dilated, mouth open, front and lowered. Front and lowered is a playful stance in case of a dog, and the animal is ready for this thing. Now, this particular position of a dog, which allows you to touch the inner thigh or under body part, is called as shake hand of a dog. This can be seen when the dog will allow you only to touch, it's only with comfortable, confident interactions only the dog allows you to touch the inner thigh. This is the same with cats also. Otherwise, they won't allow you to touch the between this thing. Now, this is again an excited dog. You can see ears, backside perked and shifted towards backside, and you can see the frowning upper lip and teeth displayed, wrinkled nose and tail stiff. All signs of aggression can be seen in this particular dog. Same case. The head turned away sign is one of the common sign of aggression in dog, in which the dog is clearly telling that I'm not interested in moving further. You just stay away from me. So that is the sign that you can see in this particular dog. Head turned away and mouth closed is another important sign of thing that you can see. And this is again, the ears is kept back and looking away, and tail position. All these things are showing frustration in the dog. And when it comes to the canine interspecies communication, dogs also adopt a mutual exploring posture in which the dog will be sniffing and the level of tail will be at the level of the body. Now both the species are actually introducing themselves. Now this is the condition in which the animal is equally excited to learn more about the another species, and they have the olfactory communication in place on this species. Can anybody say what is this, what they are up to? Are they happy or are they going for the next step? What does it mean?
They are not happy.
They are not happy. They are going to the next level of aggression. Head
Yes,
fixed, firm, focused eye, closed mouth, stiff body. Better to move away both together. Otherwise, the one with the loose leash will attack the other one. This can be seen in case of hospitals. In waiting sheds, you can see two dogs will be there and they'll be just moving. So there is something in a dog which is called as dominance or that alpha dog fallacy, in which the dog, there will be something like there will be always quest for dominance. So when you see two male dogs in the same place fighting, and then especially the locations like hospitals or any places like that, so they will be questioning each other's status quo, and it's often lead to severe fights. So this is one of the thing that you can see. Now come to our profession. This is where we get dog bite. See, one of the common causes of dog bite in case of veterinarians is that not understanding the psychological state of the animal. Look at this dog. This is an average dog presented to a very animal friendly veterinarian, but she does the mistake of approaching a dog which is showing head turned away sign. When you see a dog is turning its head away, never try to restrain the dog without any form. Never try to approach a dog at this particular stage. The body is very stiff. The white of the eyes is displayed. It is looking away. Now next will be its attack only. I will show you a video which will clearly show all the signs of attack in case of a dog. Submissive and dominant behavior is very common in case of dogs, in which you can see the one with standing will be dominant and the one will be recommend will be the submissive dog. This I've already explained about the shake hand stance of a dog, which is a very good thing. If you get a shake hand, means it's a very nice, means only trustworthy dogs, the dogs with trustworthy relation only will allow you to touch the internal thigh. Now my question, 1, 2 or 3, who is worried? Please substantiate your answer.
Number 3.
1, sir.
3.
1.
So 1.
Okay, explain why 1. Why 1 is worried?
So that closed mouth, one
Very
feature.
good. Excellent. So you can see all the 3 dogs you compare, an open mouth is a sign of relaxation in a dog, whereas the first dog is highly worried because it's having a closed mouth.
He's also having a stiff body.
Yes, it's a stiff body. It's not a relaxed body, whereas compared to the other 2 dogs, it's like the third one is totally excited and waiting for the next step. The mid one is of course happy, but it's not in the middle way only. But the first fellow is totally worried. Very good. Now, what does it show?
Anxious.
Very good. It's an anxious behavior that you can see. The animal is worried, there is fear, and it's clearly don't know what is the next step. So it's taking for the next level of aggression. What about this fellow?
Aggressive.
Definitely, it's aggressive because the animal is showing a full-fledged semilunar eye can be seen, stiff body with the tail up, and the animal is vocalization is also there. The half-closed mouth says that the animal will go to the next level of, and it may lead to dog bite very fast. Some of the, I would like to show some of the behavior of the dogs in this form of a small video. So some expressions of the dogs are very funny that you may not be able to understand clearly, but some are very clear clues. Now look at this dog. This dog is totally worried and it is avoiding eye contact. Avoiding eye contact is having trust issue, which is clearly seen when you go for rescue of a dog. Second thing is squint eye response, in which the dog will show squinting of the eye, which is very common if you do a rescue of a dog. It will be doing, see, look at his eyes. So just squint and say. Now, what is wrong with this fellow? The problem is that he is worried about his own eye. When you just give a direct eye contact to a dog, it will become its own enemy. So that is the first thing that you can see in this. Of course, this is a funny dog, which an artificial eyelid kept. Now, this is just showed you that, see, it has shown some nose licking, lip licking and things. Now, what about this one? Why the dogs do head tilt is again a research point. But half of the puppies you can see will doing like this when they just observe anything. We'll explain it later. Now, see an excited dog behind. See what this fellow is doing. Clear signs of aggression. And finally, yawning is again a sign of extreme distress in case of a dog. So, which is also a sign of pain. And lip licking also is one of the sign of aggression. And does dog smile? Please see him smiling. And this is not a smile. This is an aggression. I hope we are getting some of the points when it, as far as our discussions are concerned, some things are getting clear. I would like to take some questions. Maybe after this, I will see, after explaining the dog emotions. Now we'll come to the emotions. What are emotions basically? Emotions are wide varieties of, physiological changes in the body, which are properly hormonal. Now, when you are in a particular situation, certain kind of thoughts come to you and you will definitely go to a different physiological stage. That's what emotion is all about. The common emotions of fear, aggression, or resentment, or even what you say, over all these things are seen in case of dogs also. I have a couple of slides to explain this thing. This particular dog is witnessing the walking away, or master just turning away in a vehicle, saying goodbye, and he's just looking. You can look at the kind of that liquid eyes, just showing that how much concern he is there, or how much he is missing his honor. I hope the picture paints 1,000 words. Next, same way, the dog, the owner is leaving for a vacation, and look at his face, how he is communicating. Again, a puppy is very much playful, getting for your next move. So very beautiful emotions are displayed in its eye. And again, a puppy in a highly playful mode is very happy, jovial, just like in a full heart, it's smiling. And you can see all the kind of emotions that's coming from the dogs are very specific. And what is this? Can anybody give the story? What does it mean?
Like guilty.
Yeah. Is it happy?
No.
No,
What does
sir.
it, yeah.
No, sir, it's nervous.
It's nervous to specifically it's under resentment, or no, it's just feeling guilty. It's very clearly it's showing guilty because the owner is scolding him for something. Maybe it might have pooped inside the house or something. See what is the kind of response he's giving. So, and they have the unique ability to follow or sympathize with the human emotions. Now, when you start scolding a dog continuously, it will wait for you to come down. Now, this is the next step in which the owner is keep on scolding and repeatedly giving, or no, then just see it waiting. It keep on waiting. You can see again, it's just waiting for the owner to come back to the normal stage. So beautifully, this species had the ability to come and identify the human emotions. That's why they have been extensively used in a new form of therapy, which is called as pet-assisted therapy or animal-assisted therapy, in which the dog sympathizes the status of a human being and help with it. I'll explain it further in the coming slides. Some of the expressions are very difficult to be understood, like in this case. He's just like a human being. No, it's the dog is trying to communicate something. So It's almost one thing I put this slide is that not all emotions can be understood in a dog. Some things will leave you really puzzled, like in this particular picture. Now, I have a couple of image videos just once again to show you how a dog communicate to you in certain scenarios. You can see this fellow.
What? What's the matter? I was gone for too long? Oh, I'm so sorry. I won't do it again, I promise. You forgive me? You sure? Okay, come on.
I hope that clearly explains. Another thing, when there is abandoning is something like very common in abroad countries and also in all this thing. What happens means when a dog starts missing its owner for more than 48 hours or something like 24 hours, is waiting for his owner to come in and not seen. See the kind of liquid eyes it's showing. Nose licking, lip licking, and fully worried dog. Just like a human being, it's showing the responses. And this one, I'm sure many of you might have seen. This is also a wonderful video which shows just like a human cry. The dog is crying on a grave. Dogs they can sense danger very early. This is an area where an extensive works are going on in animal-assisted physiotherapy, where the Labrador dogs are used even for trying to help people. Recently, we have conducted some of the trial with an organization called PAWS, in which we took the dogs to a place called for a rescue home, especially for human beings. Old ladies were and aged people were there. You could see how the dogs brought happiness to the subjects.
Come on, let's go.
Another dog who is at the grave of the owner, but refused to come back.
Let's go. Come on. Come on. Come on, Gita. Gita, come on.
So the purpose of this video was to just to give you an insight. Of course, we all know this thing, the potential of the behavior subject. Like there is again so many areas that we can develop. And I think as veterinarians, we should take lead in all behavior interventions because we are the people who can definitely speak for the animals in a better way. Now, I showed you some pictures of head tilt in case of animals. So it looks like a very cute response, which is more seen in case of a puppy. Now, can any guess why this head tilt happens? Why the puppies tilt their head? Any responses? Have you seen the puppies tilting the head when you just take an object very close? It will be doing this thing. Have you seen this?
Yes, yes.
So maybe they're trying to observe.
Yeah, they are trying to observe. I'll tell you the specific reason. See, the optic streak or where the vision, the light focuses on the retina is circular, or macula lutea is circular in case of a human being. And this macula lutea is the place where the eye focus and the image is formed. Whereas the optical streak is linear in dogs. So at one particular stage, if you want to closely observe, the dog has to tilt it to put it in the level of vision. So that makes the dog to tilt, which is more seen in case of puppies than case of adult dogs. In a way, you can say it's a varied astigmatism, which is seen very common in case of dogs. So they will try to put the object in its sense. So you have to tilt, which is more seen in case of puppies focusing on a particular object. Of course, it's very cute, but the scientific explanation is this thing. Now, I put this slide just to show you that there are few colors your dog has not seen. One is that green color. Green tint is not seen specifically in a dog. So is in case of the red. Whereas I'm sure all of you will be knowing as veterinarians that the cows will never see the grass as green color in its life. It's gray color. So that means many of the conditions the animal is going through, we are not aware. So our subjects are generally getting, they don't have the green color vision is very less in case of this. Now we'll come to next subject, which is called vocalization and behavior. And sounds can be of different type. Now let me ask you one question. have you ever got I'm sure majority of the veterinarians might have got this question, that the owner is complaining, I bought a dog, it's not barking. Had anybody got this question from the owner? My puppy is not barking.
Yes, sir. Yes, I got.
Yeah, it's a very common question. Now I'll tell you why it is happening and what are the ways to solve these things. Okay, the barking is a principle, or the barking is a response which is shown by the dog when it actually need to bark, or there is a need should be there for barking. Majority of the dogs are reared in such a condition at home that they don't even have the need to bark. So it is inside the home, you are feeding always with the pedigree or what all thing, the packeted food, and having always excessive attention you are giving, and there is no need to bark. So to make an animal food the bark, there are 3 steps to be followed. The first thing is that tying a collar on the dog, make it walk with the leash for around 3 days around the campus or where you're staying. Take the dog outside in a busy, not much busy street, make the animal walk with the halter or with the collar for 3 days. Later, you take the animal to the busy street. You have to take the animal and make it walk and come back, and then you tie the dog in a place. And next time, if it happens, if you see any threatening object or a subject, it will bark. It is scientifically proven and 100% effective for you. You can try this in your practice and you can communicate what is the result, because when the animal is showing protective aggression, the animal has to start barking. So protective aggression, to show protective aggression, the dog should feel that I need to protect someone. For that thing, you have to take out the dog from the house and make it walk. First, it needs to be walked in the familiar environment, then to the unfamiliar environment, and then to the crisis situation, so that the dog will start recognizing itself and it will start showing barking. Now, territorial calls are very important things. Like you might have seen, howling is very common in dogs. One dog howls, the entire dogs in the colony keep supporting him. So that's again because they are the descendants of wolves, and it's like there is a social call which is happening in barking. So you cannot stop it. And some people say it's a bad omen or something. Nothing with the in case of behavior. It's just it's expression of its vocal tone. It's coming out. So one question also you might have got as veterinarians, sir, my dog is not stopping barking. Have you got that things? How to make the dog stop barking? Had anybody encountered this problem? Yes, continuous barking inside.
Especially in the night, sir.
Very especially in the night. Now there is a solution for this also. Continuous barking, especially inside the night, will invariably, generally it is seen in male dogs. Now, the only solution for this condition is castration, because close to the mating behavior time, the animal will be highly frustrated and it will be showing a lot of expressions of the breeding disturbances, and the animal will keep crying inside the night. So we have tried it in a couple of cases. Now I have tried it in near my house, only one case. Now it's like evident results, and textbooks also says that castration results in reduction in testosterone. The animal's excitement level will go down, and then the barking can be continuously being reduced. Means it can be provenly you can reduce the excessive vocalization in case of dogs. But there are different types of sounds the dogs makes. One of the most important thing is barking. It shows whinnying sound, and when the time want to communicate, of course the different types of sound will be showing. But as far as clinical practice is concerned, we need to address the issue of not barking dogs and the dogs to stop barking in case of excessive barking dogs. Till this time, I was dealing with a single dog. Now we are going to see the social behavior of a dog. I have a question to my Sri Lankan friends. I want to know, do you have stray dog menace in your place? My question is, do you have stray dog menace in your place? Stray dogs attacking human beings?
Yes, sir. Very common here.
Okay, you also have. Okay.
Yes,
we are the worst victim, I think, compared to any part of the country. I think compared to any part of the world, specifically Kerala. So a lot of issues are being covered now. Now a lot of discussions are happening, panel discussions and all the expert panels. So many things are happening to find a solution for that thing. Now my next few slides will address this issue, the science behind this behavior of dog biting, why a dog bite, and what are the things that you can do to prevent the dog biting, and what are the solutions, probable solutions for stray dog menace in the country. So I think these few slides will be very important to advise the people, and especially at the policy level, to take firm action, and what are the scientific backup plans that we can do in a long-term perspective to ensure that the dogs won't get aggressive in nature. The first principle to understand here is that they are pack animals. No dog would love to stay alone. Now, when given a chance, it try to communicate with others, and they always love to move in a pack. When it comes to the pack, there is one most important thing, that is there is a very strong hierarchy level among the dogs. There is a concept of something called as alpha dog. Alpha dog is or alpha male. Alpha male is the one which is generally the leader of the pack. And the leader of the pack is generally not the tallest one or the stoutest one. No, the leader of the pack is generally the one which is accepted by the others more. So these are, you can see, means all dogs will be coming and sniffing to one. That will be the pack of the dog, leader of the pack. Now, what they do is that every dog is having a territory, and every dog will mark its territory by urine spraying. And most important organ in territorial marking is, of course, urine. And the second thing is called anal glands. Anal glands are small glands which are located at 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock positions from the anal region. They secrete a chemical which is unique for every dog. So specifically, we can say that the smell of one dog will never be matched with the other. So they are so unique among the smell that any dog at a given point of time can understand whether this dog is in my pack or not. So such is the power of the olfaction in dogs, which makes them very unique with this pack behavior. And so that they keep sniffing each other's, and especially the anal region, and identify who is who in this particular condition. Now I want to ask you one more question. Have you ever encountered a condition in which you are traveling in your car and a pack of dogs chasing you from one place to another? It can be seen in case of bike also. It can be seen in case of cycle also. It can be seen in case of car also. Have you ever encountered? I hope my question is clear.
Yes, sir. Every time, if somebody
Yes,
running-
sir.
Yeah. Let's address that issue. Any idea why it's happening?
No, sir.
Yeah, there are a lot of hypotheses initially. People would tell that the dog might have been hit by another car, and that's why it is running after. All these are called anthropomorphization. Means we try to see ourselves in a dog. All this thing has got no scientific basis. The scientific basis is explained in a very funny way. That is, I'll tell you why the dog barks at you when you move in a vehicle. Territorial marking is the number one thing happening in case of the dogs. They keep passing urine in all the territories. Then the territory is a very clear territory. The territory of a dog is not as if in case of a border of a panchayat where you can see this much square feet. Nothing to do with that. They have their own rules and they mark territory in different places. Any inanimate object suspicious of its authority, they will pass urine and make themselves. They will mark it as that belongs to them. And one of the most common structure they keep seeing in a place is the vehicle tires. So what happens is that the dog generally pisses on the tire of a car. It is parked in, say, one point. And when the car is moving from one place to another, for the dog, it is another dog smell which is traveling from one place to another. So they have to follow that thing and chase. And if you closely observe the chasing behavior, you can see the dog will follow it one place. Up to one stage it will go and stop there, and they won't go further. That is the end of their territory. I hope my explanations are clear. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Very clear. Yes.
So this is the science behind this chasing dogs. Now, some important things regarding aggression we'll see. Now, till this time, we studied about the individual behavior of dog, the pack behavior of dog. Now we are going to address the question, why dog bite happens. Now, to understand why dog bite happens, we need to understand the ladder of aggression. The ladder of aggression starts with different types of responses. which I've already explained in the beginning. The dog will be standing simply doing a panting. The moment you came, closed its mouth, started looking whale eye, nose licking, lip licking, frowned this thing and showing the upper cheek and all the thing. You are getting excited, head turned away, growling. Then finally at last stage it bites. So specifically there are 13 steps, and it's our mistake or it's our bad luck that maybe we are entering on the 12th step. I hope it's clear to you. A dog is coming and you are standing there and waiting for some time, and unnecessarily because of your behavior also the dog has reached the 12th step. Now you are entering the scene with a vaccination for a syringe or whatever it may be, you get a dog bite. So that means that dogs are very predictable enemies. They have got an escalating ladder of aggression. This is in case of a normal non-rabid dog, I'm telling. So they have a clear kind of indication that will show that their aggression level peaks up and then biting happens. Now, one thing here I need to mention is that if you see an excited dog, you can do certain things to make its ladder come down also. That we will discuss after 2-3 slides. But generally what we should understand is that when the escalation keeps at the peak only, the dog bites happen. Now, these are generally the, we can clearly say that it starts with the displacement behavior. That means when the animal is normal, initially when lower level of stress, you can see displacement behavior start. Means the animal will just do scratching on the ground or sniffing extra they show. Then they start calming themselves, which include yawning, lip licking, looking away, turn away, moving and all. Then comes the adrenaline and cortisol secretion, which make them to show for stress reaction, which include panting, pupil dilation, shaking of adrenaline, and all the sweating of paws and all other things will happen. Still nothing is working. It go for focus, close mouth, freeze, and ready to get the chang. And last step is showing the teeth, growling, and finally only a bite happens. So it's very important for the veterinarian or any behavior person to identify that the stress escalation ladder is the principle in which the dog get excited from a calm state to an excited state, and it end up in biting the subject. Now, I will just show some of the things.
7 signs a dog may bite. Dogs can become aggressive for any number of reasons: fear, dominance, guarding possessions. No matter the reason for the dog aggression, the body language of a dog can let you know if he is about to bite. Knowing what to look for can help you prevent dog bites. 1. Snapping. Growling and snapping are probably the most obvious signs that a dog is about to bite. Dogs growl or snap to let you know they are unhappy or uncomfortable. If a dog growls or snaps at you when you approach them, it's time to give them some space. Growling and snapping can be helpful, too. Your dog is communicating something to you. Pay attention to the times your dog growls or snaps. Does it happen when you approach them when they're eating, when strangers approach, or when you touch them while they're asleep? Knowing what elicits the growling and snapping allows you to manage the problem and work on changing the behavior. 2. Wagging tail. This is one of the signs that many people find surprising. Dog trainers often hear dog owners comment that their dog was wagging their tail right up until the moment they bit someone. But pay attention to the way your dog wags their tail. A happy dog may wag its tail and get their whole body involved. A dog who is about to bite is usually fairly rigid, and their tail will be pointed high and moving more quickly back and forth. This may be a sign of an impending dog bite. 3. Raised fur. When dogs are afraid or overly stimulated, you may see the hair on their backs stand up. In some dogs, just the hair on the back of the neck between the shoulders stands up. Other dogs have it at the neck and also near their tails. Still, other dogs may have a ridge of hair that stands up down the entire length of their backs. If you notice a dog has their hackles raised, it's a signal that they need you to back off. 4. Rigid body posture. Often when a dog is about to become aggressive, his body language is a dead giveaway, no pun intended. A comfortable, happy dog usually has a relaxed body with their ears low and a happy, wagging tail. An aggressive dog is just the opposite. Their entire body may go stiff, and their ears and tail are raised high. If you reach out to pet a dog, and their entire body freezes rather than wiggling to get closer, they are not happy with being touched. It's time to move away to make them more comfortable. 5. Lip licking, yawning and averting gaze. If you notice a dog is licking their lips, when food is not involved, yawning repeatedly, or turning their head to avoid meeting your gaze, they are trying to tell you something. Dogs engage in these behaviors to let you know they are uncomfortable with something going on around them. For instance, a dog who has never been around children may lick their lips or yawn when a child comes over to pet them. It does not necessarily mean that they are about to bite, but it is a warning that they are not comfortable. A dog who is uncomfortable, afraid, or stressed is more likely to bite. Your best bet when a dog uses one of these appeasement gestures is to try to alleviate their discomfort.
Now, these are just a snapshot of what all we have discussed so far. Now, I want to show a clear bite video that happening with all the signs. Now, in this particular video, please pay attention to how it happens. 1 second. Yeah. So this video clearly will give you an idea about what are the steps involved with the dog bite. This particular story is about a military dog, which is a very proven dog, which is actually saved a lot of work, or it is supposed to be one of the best dogs of the army. And this is the trainer. He is interviewed by another television reporter. Now the scenario is that the dog and the trainer is being interviewed by another BBC reporter. Please look at the dog, and all the signs of aggression can be seen. It's showing, the dog shows generally staring, white sclera, nose licking, lip licking, stiff gait, and see what the mistake the interviewer is showing. You closely observe the dog, he is patting his dog and looking, it's very close, straight gait, see what's happening. Now this is one of the most beautiful videos you can observe. See,
Pedro makes a move that shocks everyone.
And that's it. Now let's see once again.
With his mouth wide open, Officer Best watches in disbelief. When John leaned in, Pedro aggressively lunged at his face with a bite force of 450 pounds. Pedro's lower incisors, which are used for tearing, grabbed John's chin just below his lip.
Now, once again, if you just observe the dog's responses before biting, see the dog does all the things in I think you can see in the order only it is shown. First thing the dog does is closed mouth, fixed gaze, showing the white sclera and looking at the eyes of the subject. If the interviewer, he has just taken time to remove its attention away or just looking away from the dog, he would have got saved from a dog bite. Now see what the mistake is doing, focusing on the eye and again going close to the dog. At that time, the dog does some more thing, that is, the dog did something like turning away also it tried. Still it is closing, then definitely there is no other option other than to bite the dog. That's what happened in this case. Now,
then Pedro makes a move that shocks everyone.
So that is the thing. I hope
The young dog
that clearly tells about how a dog bites happen. Now we'll come to the different type of aggression, and aggression is basically the response of the dog towards certain stimulations, and they are all clearly categorized in different headings. The first one is the dominance aggression. Dominance aggression is generally seen when you see two dogs with high dominant behavior. Generally happens between male-male aggression, and generally happens between the alpha male and its subordinate. At that time, if somebody come inside in between, you will get bite. Another thing is protective aggression. If you keep a dog chained on some time, and generally if any disturbance, any person coming near to that dog, it's getting chances of getting bite is very high. That is protective aggression. Next is territorial aggression. You leave the dog on a compound and you fence it, you can definitely see it guarding around the fence and nobody will be allowed inside. And when you goes inside, there are chances that you may get a bite, which is a very normal thing. Majority of the dogs, we get dog bite when you interfere with a dog who is enjoying its meal. Now, never try to touch a dog when it is having food, that you may get a bite. And this is the most common aggression that we can see in case of veterinarians. When you start examining a dog which is already having pain, so you will get a very bad dog bite. So this is very common with all places where you get this condition. And resource guarding aggression, the connection between dog and a bone is a very old connection. Don't try to go in between. So you will get a dog bite. So that is another thing. Frustration elicited aggression is one of the classic sign of aggression, in which you chain or confine the dog for a long time on a particular place. But the dog will be highly frustrated and you get a next opportunity to go outside, the dog will bite anyone. So this is generally seen in case of some of the owners also. In some of the dog owners are generally highly sensitive and they highly negligent, that they keep the animals always in confinement. And when a veterinarian comes, they want the veterinarian to do some magic and do the vaccination. And if you ask him to hold, he will say, I can't hold, you get the dog vaccinated. So these are the challenges that we happen in our that we get in our practice. So first we have to see the animal is highly excited. So you have to calm the dog, then only we can proceed. Next is sex-related aggression, which is beautifully explained when there is mating generally happens that in the proestrus period, when the dog won't allow any other dog to come nearby. At that time, if any dog comes, then only the female will try to avoid the male by just biting. And that's a very common type of aggression. In between, if anybody comes in that scenario, that bite will be directed to that level also. That finishes our discussion regarding the basic aggression and how dog bite happen. Now, what is the fun of learning this thing? Now, here comes the applied portion of animal behavior. How do you apply it in your regular practice? So I would like to give this following steps. Whenever you are going to examine a dog in its premises or in the clinics, first thing that you have to do is to observe the animal in rest. You observe how the animal is moving, how the animal is keeping its tail, eye, and other things. Then you observe the movement. Is it showing anything, communicating to you? Next thing you have to do is offer your hand so that the dog can sniff. That means the first thing you are doing is that you are not giving eye contact. Never give eye contact to your dog in time of crisis. Let loose your hands. The dog will sniff you, and generally it will try to get maximum information from you. And after that only, it will try, never offer hands for sniffing like this. You will get bite. And generally never be afraid of this thing, because there is something called hunting principle. I'll tell you what exactly is the reason for majority of dog bites. One of the common cause of dog bites is, you can understand this thing. The dogs are hunter-gatherers, but generally they hunt the animals, and what makes them hunt is like they are a pack hunters. They go in a group because they are descendants of wolves. Now, if you examine the hunting process, a tiger or a lion or a wolf or any carnivore, when they hunts, what they generally do is that, what is the motivation behind hunting is the weakness of the prey. The more the prey is a victim, or the more the fear shown by the prey, the more will be the aggressive hunting can be happen. This happens in dog bite, especially when you start being afraid. So the first thing that is happening is that the cortisol levels are beautifully sensed by the dog, and the dog start chasing. So when you get afraid and start running, means 100% dog will chase and bite out. So easiest way to avoid a dog bite is to just divert your attention, do something else, and simply ignore. Generally, the dogs will just come and move away. Sometimes the dog will come and piss on your pant and also go. That also happened in many times because they will think that it is an inanimate object or something and they will mark your territory and go. That also might have happened in some cases. Now, ultimately what happened is that the dog is trying to see who is in front of me. Is he afraid? Then he is a prey. If he's not afraid, let us make it mine. So that is the principle in case of a dog. So this is commonly seen in case of a single dog or a pack dog which is approaching you. So you have to remain calm. That is the best option in case of avoiding a dog bite. Never feed a dog directly on its mouth in a stranger. It will definitely bite because the dog consider it as a person who is taking his prey. It does not have that idea of thinking that he is offering food like that. Instead, what you have to do, throw the food close to the dog, let it come close, and then try to make the dog more comfortable. Now, I would like to show you some of the principles of behavior being shown in case of training. So in terms of training, one of the common thing that which is done in case of dog training, applying these principles of behavior, is something called as alpha dog training. Alpha dog training is the principle in which we use this some of the dogs. The trainer becomes one among the pack.
Walking unleashed dogs through a quiet town, showing an amazing bond with his animals.
So what this is, you can see, is that alpha dog training is a type of dog training based on the behavior principle in which the owner becomes, or the trainer becomes, one among the pack. And it is just taken right from the beginning. You can see the entire dog stays with him. This type of training is not practiced in other places except in Russian army, and few places they are doing this type of training, where the dog become a part of the trainer become the part of the pack and keep training the dogs.
Know me as part of the pack. I spend a lot of time with them. I feed them, I let them out, I exercise them, I do everything with them.
Augusto is decided.
Now, just to tell about this point, when the dogs are trained in this way, he is one among the pack. There are few principles which are followed during this training, and some of the common mistakes that the trainers also do is never allow the dog to keep its paw on your shoulder or your hand. Now we have the habit of showing shake hand like that. So this is definitely wrong in case of dominance dog training, because when the dog keep its paws on another object, it will start claiming on that object, means that will become, it will try to do dominance again. So trainers are always in army dog training also, we don't allow the dog to keep the hand on the paws. So we have to discourage that behavior at the earliest. And he takes decision among the paws, like in among the pack. Like when he start moving, the dogs moves. This training is also done in 3 levels. First, he chains all the dog and moves. Later, he start walking without any leash. Now, when he moves, it is in the puppy suit stage. You make the animal see, removes the chain and then start moving.
Eventually.
So this is a very extensive training procedure where alpha dog dominance is expressed. The human being become an alpha dog. I just want to show this thing just to show you that there are different types of training happening. And other types of training in dog training include aggressive training, other thing. I think I can show you some of the basics. This is called clicker dog training. In clicker dog training, what happens is that the dog is fed a treat, and
I'm waiting for him to put his bottom on the ground.
And a simultaneous stimulus of clicker is made, sound.
He's going to get the treat. As soon as he puts his bottom on the ground, I click and I treat him.
So there is a click sound, the feed, and the dog.
Now I'm going to give the cue word to him as he's in the process of putting his bottom on the ground. Sit. Good boy.
Every time it performs, there is a click along with that feed.
Good boy.
Third time, there won't be any feed, only sound will be there.
Sit. Good boy.
So this is the
Now
clicker
he's made the
training.
association between the word, the action, and the reward. I'm going to ask him to SIT and show you the whole process. Sit. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. Now he's getting used to the sound. I can use my clicker right close to me here, so I don't always have to have it behind my back. You can use the clicker for any kind of action cue that you want to teach your dog. The reason why it's so good is this is a unique sound that is difficult to repeat in everyday life. It also is processed in the brain a lot faster than even your reward word. Clicker training is really great for shaping a particular behavior or a series of behaviors. So if you want your dog to, for example, sit, lie down, sit up, stand up, walk, go, you will be able to shape these behaviors by using the clicker.
Next is some called as the modern rival training, in which a series of action is performed in front of the dog and feed is given. For example, see, these two people are training, and every time they touch the bottle, they give feeding the animal. You can see. Finally, you can see. Yeah. So that's the type of modern rival training. Now, some of the finest training is behavioral training, and I would like to show you a small video of how an aggressive dog is training by means of scientific behavioral intervention. And with this video, we'll end up our main session. And this is the story of Dudley, which is having a very bad behavior. And this is the team is called Canine Connections. A lot of videos are available. Now, this dog is notorious because this dog has bitten all the members of the family, become a great nuisance, and it barks and bites on everyone in the family. Now, the team is rescuing this dog, taking it, changing its behavior. After behavioral modification, they are giving the dog back to the owners. This is all the video all about. So the history is very bad in case of this dog. So what they do is, first, you take the dog to their place. The reason being, you cannot do any scientific intervention at its dominant area, which is its force. Because if there are 5 members in a family, 4 of them are ready for training, the one person is feeding and just disturbing the schedule, there is no point in getting the training done at the home. So they have taken to the separate enclosures and area, and 3 days the dog is left free on a room, then slowly started being walked with the help of a walking pole. They are not using a walking thread or walking rope, they are using a walking pole. 2-3 days they keep the animal walk with the pole, and slowly the size of the pole is getting reduced, and the highly misbehaved dog is handled with a small pole.
Hanging out with him in the room, letting him walk where he wants to walk, letting him sniff things and explore, and simply get used to our presence. If I start to get a decent vibe from the dog, I'll trust my gut and I'll remove the catch pole.
Slowly the dog is free of this pole. Now he start using bite protection guards and start giving treats to the dog and allow it to move around.
Again, we simply let Dudley freely wander around the room.
Next step is to introduce more people so that there will be intervention of more people. Yeah, there are 2 more people joining the thing. And in between, it is being fed the treat, and you can see.
Wants to interact. And it'll be the first time that I use food as part of this process. Right there. I don't use food prior to this moment because it would amount to me putting expectations on the dog. Again, it's essential that we don't place any expectations on the dog, but we let him choose when he's ready to engage.
Then on day 4 onward, they started giving the obedience training for the dog, in which the dog is given basic commands, and see that biting dog has started showing behavioral changes by the human interventions by applying the scientific changes of canine behavior, just applying the scientific canine behavior principles. Now slowly they started managing the dog, and difficult training or principles like making or the dog trimming its nails and all other things they'll be doing on this particular dog on the day 4 or specifically after 1 week of interventions. Now you can see the dog is trained for trimming the nail. The same dog is allowing him to train this. So it's possible to influence the dog by applying the scientific principles of training. That is the message which I would like to say. And later only it was allowed to trained on the proper feeding principles and so on. And subsequently, the dog became more friendly and multiple people are handling the dog. And finally, at the day of at 2 weeks, it unites with the family and all the people are able to handle the dog peacefully and the dog is left with the family. This is the interventions of the advanced dog training in case of applying behavior principles in dog training. Now I'll try to wind up with just a few things about the dog behavior. Why there is extensive dog bite in case of these places of generally confinements, especially in a place like Kerala, we have excessive dog population and the man to dog ratio is very low. That means for every person there are around 40 to 50 stray dogs as per the conditions in case of metros. That means that it is extensively that anybody can imagine that level of extensive stray dog menace is happening. We generally resort to something called as there is ABC programs, but everything is getting a problem in long run. So what does it mean is that there needs to be more scientific planning rather than merely adopting a simple ABC program. So there are certain steps that we have to do, and this is based on the interventions from the Jaipur model. Jaipur is supposed to be one place where it is completely free of rabies, and thanks to the interventions of Dr. Jack Rees, and I think way back in 1991 he started his operation. A foreigner came to India seeing the excessive rabies situation in the Jaipur. He started working there. He adopted and he framed a new program of controlling rabies by specific interventions that has ultimately led to the condition in which Jaipur is free of rabies. Now the stray dog bites are come down drastically and there is 100% vaccination happening in this place. So all these things are the model for the world that we can adopt. That is, first what they do is every panchayat and village map will be clearly made with clear-cut boundaries, and with the help of local panchayat or local self-government agencies and local peoples, first we need to do is the number of dogs needs to be identified in particular area, and dog intense area can be identified. For example, there are 5 villages and one village is having more than 300 dogs, means that is a very high intense area. Next thing that you have to go is that long-term planning of the resources, and skilled and trained dog catchers. Generally what they do is that they identify and they catch the dog and they are transported to the Help in Suffering Hospital of India hospital. They are kennelled individually and checked by the veterinarians, and finally surgically sterilized under surgical anesthesia, and followed by that finally they are released on exact place where they are caught. Now the logic behind is that when you leave a female dog left without any spaying, so every 3 months it is getting cyclical and it is able to produce 36 litters, one dog. Out of this 36 means 12 if you just see. And out of this 12, if you say 50% is male and female, each female is able to produce again 12, maybe 24 by the end of the year. So exponentially, if you see 136 dogs can be produced from a single dog. So that is the condition, the exponential growth in the street dogs is happening. And one of the common cause for this particular condition is nothing other than this waste disposal. I think the biggest problem that we are seeing in case of this stray dog menace is excessive number of waste disposal, unscientific waste disposal. When there is excessive food waste available, the dogs keep multiplying, and which will lead to finally excessive dog population, and the breeding keep increasing, and at a stage will come where the dog intense area is more heavy, and the night the behavior of the dog changes entirely different, and they become aggressive, because territorial aggression and protective aggression will be more evident in the night stage. They will take charge of the street, and anybody coming down will be getting a dog bite. Now recently there are a lot of recent dog attacks in case of our condition in our state, which are scientifically being assessed by so many people. So it is clearly understood that the behavioral interventions are the only way to find out a long-term solution. Animal birth control operations are only one part of the solution. What we need is a long-term plan that in line with animal behavior principles, awareness at the level of school, colleges, corporates, and all stakeholders, a collective intervention plan with specific timelines, and total partnership from all stakeholders to get a rabies free and a stray bite dog fight free place. One of the important suggestions that we can give is like go for sheltering of the animals at the earliest, because every place needs to be a dog pound where you can catch hold of all the stray dogs and put them there. Then you can go for you can definitely find out the diseased dog and those dogs, highly aggressive dog, which are really threat to the human line and which cannot be contained. You can identify those dogs, and some dogs which need extensive suffering can be done with the euthanasia in a scientific way, and some dogs which requires treatment can be provided in that way also. And finally, when housing changes the behavior of the dog, and then we can go for a spaying, and after that we can release the dog in same place, or we can house the dog for a long time if there is extensive dog population in particular area. Only thing is that we need place for dog pounds. So there are so many solutions which are actually depending upon the situations we have to find out. So in short, these are the steps we need to reduce a dog bite menace in our place. So with this, I would like to wind up my talk by telling that we were discussing about the animal behavior of a single dog, and we came to know, or we discussed about the pack dog behavior in case of dogs. Then we talked in length about the aggression, the steps of dog bite, and finally some of the principles of reduction in this is by means of ABC programs. And implementation strategy include early identifying and the long-term plan with the partnership of all these things. And the most important thing I would like to harp upon is that vets should take the lead role in devising such plans, because we are the advocates of animal behavior. And it's only through us that a scientific intervention of the animal behavior should come. And the principles of behavior should be percolated to the lowest level of the people by the veterinarians only. With this message, I would like to wind up my talk, and I'm open to questions. I thank you all for your patient listening. Some of the thing is that beautiful part of this subject is that the more we study the animal behavior, the more we will be able to understand our own behavior, because all we need is a focus and more availability in the present moment rather than being in the past and the future. So every opportunity to treat an animal is an opportunity to be in the present moment and observe the animal, and lot of communication thing, lot of communication can happen between the clinician and the dog, and we'll be able to get a clear idea about the dogs. So these are some of the resources that used for this particular thing. I thank the organizers once again for giving me this opportunity, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, sir. What a beautiful area. Actually, it's a neglected area, because no one talks about the animal behavior, such things. And after this session, actually, I feel so guilty, because I feel I didn't get a lot of emotions of the dogs. Only after seeing this kind of things, actually, we all will realize that we saw a lot of emotions of the dogs, but we didn't know that's sad, that's anger, and we didn't know how to identify that. So thank you very much again for the excellent explanation and for your discussion, sir. If anyone having a question, you can ask directly from sir, or you can type your question in the chat box. And also, if anyone interested in give you ideas, anything, you can please, this is your time. So one question from a participant, is there any textbook you can suggest to study dog behavior?
Yeah, sure. I will communicate the textbook PDF version in the group. I think you have added me in the group.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Stephen Lindsay, Animal Behavior, Canine Behavior, Volume 1 and 2 by Stephen Lindsay, and she is one of the pioneers in this particular subject. And all behavioral cues there are 4 or 5 books on this subjects. I will definitely communicate on this thing.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, it looks there are no questions. Okay, Dr. Kalpana.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, Dr. Kalpana, you can start.
Yes, today I would like to extend our gratitude to our resource person, Dr. Sudheesh Nair, for accepting our invitation and sharing his excellent knowledge with us. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Jagat Vijay and Farmchem Private Limited for their financial contribution to make this webinar successful. And finally, I would like to thank Dr. Mahesh Senadira for introducing our resource person and all the participants from Sri Lanka and India. So thank you so much.
Thank you, one and all, for giving this opportunity. And a good
we are planning to have a lot of classes with you in future, sir. Please,
sure.
please
Always available.
join with us, especially for oncology and small animal surgery. Such subject also we need your help, sir. Please join with us in future also.
Sure. Thank you, doctor.
Okay, then shall we end this excellent workshop then? Thank you very much, sir. Again, have a good night and hope to meet you soon.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, මොනහරි අදහස් තියෙනවනම් කියලා මෑන්ද? Is there any ideas of the participant about future webinars? And
Sir, very informative and very interesting topic. Thank you so much.
Yes, welcome. Please join for a future workshop also.
I think the oncology is very important topic for discussion for next time. Yes.
Yes, we'll definitely have a webinar on this oncology, and sir said sir has huge series of soft tissue surgeries. That's a video lecture series.
Yeah, that's also very important. Yes, I think, yeah, and I think he has very vast knowledge, no?
Yes,
vast capacity.
I think
we can get maximum benefit from him.
The excellent explanation ability is the best thing.
Yes. Yeah. And soft tissue surgery also very important one.
Yes. Any ideas from the participant before leaving the meeting? Dr. Jagat, are you there? Okay, then shall we end the meeting?
Yes, I think.
Yes, okay. Good night all, and bye.
Yes.
See you again.